Spread love, spread love, spread love.
This is actually our second time doing this, so very special shout out to Kathie. Thank you for your flexibility and patience. And hopefully this time we can deliver this wonderful interview to y'all, because we tried to do it before, but tech happens, like I always like to say. So this is Spread Love, episode 3, and I have with me someone I've known for a long time, and I've been cool with for a long time, someone I know as Kathie. But tell them what you told me last time.
I actually prefer to be called by my indigenous name, which is Inaruti Arani. And it's just important for me for people to acknowledge me by my indigenous name because I had to earn that name. It wasn't just given to me. I had to walk with an indigenous Taino elder for 2 years to get that name. And, you know, it's really special to me. And like right now, if we're going to talk about wellness and spirituality, right, that's really Inaruti who is the expert.
I hear that. I like that. And that's why it's like, I thought that was really cool last time. You told me about your journey, which we're gonna touch on in a minute. And I thought that was a really intricate part that we had to make sure we brought back. And you should be acknowledged as, the person who has the achievements you have and has been through that journey. Like you said, you've earned it. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't just say Kathie, because it's not just Kathie anymore.
Yes.
Big things are happening.
Yes, Kathie is my birth name, which is special to me because it was given by my father. But if I'm going to be recognized for my medicine work and my spiritual work, Inaruti is really the name that I prefer to be called by. So thank you for honoring that.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I get it. You know what I'm saying? People who know my regular name, I never go by my regular name. You know what I'm saying? And your name is way more special than me just renaming myself. You went and did all of the things, as they say. So, I feel like it would be wrong of me not to honor that. You know what I mean? All right, let's dive into it. We got a couple questions here that we already spoke about. And let's get straight into it. So the first question is, what is spiritual based healing? What is that?
Spiritual based healing is kind of stepping aside from clinical Western ways of healing, which might be like with a therapist who, has like a master's degree or a doctorate, is not done in a clinical setting. It doesn't follow like Western guidelines in healing, but more indigenous traditional routes.
Okay, I dig that. We've known each other for a while, but we don't know who's gonna see this, and so let's take a little bit of a step back. Let me just ask, how long have you been in spiritual wellness?
Okay. Well, all my life I've been spiritual. Like I can recall things from my childhood where I was just like, damn, like I was always tapped in and stuff like that. For example, like in third grade, I used to create like those Chinese fortune tellers, right?
Okay.
And now that I look back, I remember that like when I used to do those Chinese fortune tellers, I used to have a long line of people who would want to get readings from me. And like, I
Nice.
always think back at that earliest memory and I'd be like, damn, like I've always been doing this work, like even when it was like innocent and playful. And then I also remember when I was little, I used to always like I remember when I was living in the Bronx, right in front of St. James Park on Creston Avenue. We lived on the first floor, and there was these staircases. And I remember leaving offerings for God under the staircase, really random. Like I used to leave like these little fans, paper fans under the staircase, and I always left them like for God. And
what made you start doing that?
I don't know. Like I have like no clue, but I do remember doing that. But the thing that's really weird is that a few years ago I in African traditions because I practice a lot of traditions to be honestly, but African traditions are one of the traditions that I practice. And
Okay.
I went officially through an Oba to see like who is my guardian angel, who is the Orisha that rules my crown,
Mm.
and it's Oshun. And one of the offerings you give Oshun is fans, so
Ah, look
it's
at
just like
that.
weird synchronicities that now I'm like, oh shit, like I was always tapped in, but it was innocent. It was more um intuitive. It wasn't taught or anything like that. It was just me being a child, and just being so connected. So technically, all my life, I think I was like a
Right.
woman of spirit, a woman of God. But at least in the path that I'm on now, it really started in 2013. So like 10 years
Okay.
now that I've been very devoted and um, initiated in many paths and traditions and so forth. So yeah, all my life. But if we want to talk about like technicalities, right, I would say
Right.
2013. 2012 was a very hard year for me. 2012 was kind of like a death and rebirth for me, and then that's when I started really diving deeper into spirituality. That's when I started like seeking and asking questions and looking for teachers and so forth. So it's been about 10 years, a decade now.
That's gangster, and that's really dope. I commend you. A dime in is no joke.
What was that?
I said a dime, 10 years
Oh,
in. That's no joke.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It
that's a
feels it
that's a
feels
long time to be dedicated to something.
it feels like I've been doing this for a lifetime. You know what I mean? But it's only been 10 years, and it's amazing because I'm like I feel like I still have like another 40, 50 years to go. So the journey is really interesting, but there's a part of me that feels like I've been doing this all my life.
Yeah, well, that means that you're in love with the process. That's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
All right, so what has the journey done for you?
Ultimately, I can say that this journey has just brought me peace. Um,
Okay, that's big.
yeah, like ultimately because yes, it's brought me some abundance. It's brought me some um recognition, and it has brought me like a beautiful community and so forth. But at the end of the day, like if you're not doing this work for peace, like I'm just like, what are you doing? Like everything else is extra. I think there's a lot of people who are calling themselves shamans and healers and medicine people, and I question their agendas, like I question the motivation for this work. Um, but ultimately, if it's not for peace, then I'd be like, what are you doing?
I hear that. What can spiritual healing do for others?
Back to that peace, like there's so many things out of our control. Um, we can't control the actions of others. We cannot control this government. We cannot even control the weather, right? And like the only thing we can control is like how we internalize everything, right? And how we choose to respond or how we choose to move in this world. So ultimately, it comes down to like how much peace do you want to create in your world, and I think this is important because this transcends class, status, race. It transcends all of that. It's just coming back to peace, coming back to a place where you feel the light and the love within you, you know? I think that's the most important thing about this journey. And
I
just
like that. I
remembering
like
that,
that.
like it's all about ultimately, I feel like this life is ultimately about love and returning to that, and that can look in so many ways.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. are you thinking about health or wellness during any of these activities you do, or is there something else you're focused on in that moment?
Absolutely. Health is very important. Health is definitely a part of it. If we're not healthy, if we're not in a healthy body, right, the wellness journey is very challenging, like if you're in
Yeah,
physical pain all the time, right, that is going to impact your emotional state, right?
definitely.
If you can't breathe because you have like all this mucus and inflammation in your lungs, right? How can we take a deep breath and relax? Our body will be constantly in fight or flight. So health is very important. Um, it's it's I will consider it like a pillar of wellness is your health and things like that.
So when you're doing these activities, because you do a lot of different stuff, so
Mhm.
I don't want to call out one specific thing, but when you're doing these activities, that's what your mental is on, the health and wellness, or is it on something else?
I would say ultimately it's focused on bringing some type of balance, right?
Okay.
So like for instance, like I'll show you. So do you see all these markings right here,
Yeah.
right? I've been, I've gained a lot of weight due to some personal challenges in my life, right? And that weight gain was impacting my joints, my self-esteem, how I was feeling about
Mm.
myself. Um, it was also creating other problems, like more on the physical level. And I knew like, okay, like it's time to get a grip on this aspect of my healing, right? So I work with Amazonian frog medicine. And every time you sit with the
Mm.
medicine, you have to be very intentional on why you're sitting with the medicine. And sometimes I sit with the medicine because I'm dealing with depression or I want to boost my immunity for because COVID is on the rise or something like that, or there's just like a lot of infectious diseases, right?
Right.
But I I did this as a daily reminder of like my dedication to my health. And combo is
Okay.
very unpleasant. Like it's
Mm.
like, there's mushrooms and there's ayahuasca and there's a whole bunch of indigenous medicines that are wonderful for our healing. But I would say combo is like very unpleasant, right? Like a lot of people
Mm.
don't like to sit with the medicine because they're going through hell when they're like in that medicinal space, right? So for
Right.
me, it's like a reminder that, you know, like my body is really, really important. And, this was just 1 point a day. So it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I got 2 points on my foot right now. And really is to like, with the intention of clearing inflammation from my body, right?
Okay.
Is with the intention of, um, combo has the ability of helping you fast, like it helps you resist hunger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm gonna eat something that's unhealthy for me, I'm gonna think twice about it because I know that the detoxing that comes from combo is gonna be very hard if I'm eating unhealthy. And it's been about 8 days, and I do feel a difference in my body. I do feel like I can, like I was getting like my feet were swelling and things like that, and all the swelling in my feet is gone. Um,
Mm.
it's just a lot of like almost like miraculous healing that happens. But these sessions have been with the
Mm.
intention of healing my physical body, and
Right.
also like really addressing that part of me that wants to binge when I'm sad or when I'm feeling lonely or when I'm feeling empty
Right.
inside. So, it's really like a practice that I have to work on the physical level, of course, because that's important, but also like more on the emotional level, because all of it is connected, like, our
Absolutely.
habits, the way we cope, it's all connected. They're not separate. So, but it's just interesting that you asked that, because like these points are intentional for my physical health, and just encouraging my body to release and shed all this weight gain that I have acquired over the past year.
Gotcha. All right, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. Um, mm, 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 mm. How do you define spirit? Is it different than the soul?
Oh, this question again, yo. Like, I remember, like, when we did our first take, I was just like, bruh. um, it's okay. So I don't speak for any traditions right now. I just want to make that clear. I'm gonna put that disclaimer. I'm not speaking for any traditions. I'm speaking solely from what I believe to be true.
Okay.
Okay, so spirit. Spirit is something that is not so tangible, you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like it's everywhere, right? Like
Okay.
this plant right here has a spirit, right? And
Hmm.
my cat, I'm not gonna pick her up right now, but my cat, she's a spirit being. I believe that the foods that we eat are spirits. I believe alcohol is a spirit. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
so, when I think of spirit, I think of anything from something that's alive, right? And that has a form of consciousness, if that makes
Okay.
sense, right? The soul, I feel like, is just more personalized,
Mm.
right? Like when we start talking about the soul, um, I think it's very unique to the human experience.
Okay.
I wouldn't say this plant has a soul, you know,
Why not?
because it's not human, I guess,
Okay.
right? Like, so I feel like souls are very unique to being human. It is like your DNA, your ancestors, your multiverse versions of yourself fragmented into different parts, and then there's spirit.
Okay.
And I feel like spirit can be kind of like a life force, right? Like like
I'm getting a lot of Star Wars vibes. I gotta be honest.
Star Wars was very on point though, and like um
As you're saying the spirit, I'm like the force is all around
yeah,
us.
and like it's everywhere. It's like even in chi, like when we describe chi, we don't describe chi as just being like as energy. We describe it as like your breath, your aura, your vitality, right? So like that's kind of how I see spirit. Like it's essential for life, right? But then when we start looking at more soul, I feel like that's more of a human attribute to spirit.
Okay.
Mm.
I dig that. I don't think there's a wrong answer. This is your field. So I'm soaking it in.
And who knows,
Um,
like these are all just
right.
our human ways of making sense of all of this. But who knows? I might be completely off and wrong.
Right. So you do a lot of different stuff, right? And even if I know you told me your website's under construction, but before
It's
it was
not
under
under
construction, I went and
construction. I
say it again.
It's not under construction.
Oh, okay. I misspeak.
Specifically,
Go ahead. Tell me.
specifically, I chose not to have my website running because it's powered under Wix. Okay. And that was my personal choice because I spend a lot of money running my website. And Wix right now, Wix is an Israeli company. So I
Got it.
made the personal choice not to run my business through Wix so that I am not funding genocide. So it's much more than not being under construction. Like it's
No,
an
I'm glad you
intentional
explained that. I didn't know that.
choice that I made because where I put my money matters. And I don't care if it's
Absolutely.
$1 or $500 or $10,000, you know, and trust me,
Right.
there's a lot of things that are out of my control. Unfortunately, I am an American citizen, so that means my tax dollars is used in horrific ways, right? I
Yeah.
have no control of that. Right?
Right.
Back to what I circled back in the beginning, right? Like there's certain things that are just out of my control, right? But I am
Right.
in control of my website and I am in control in what I put my money into. So it was a conscious choice not to have my website anymore.
I dig that, and I support that.
Thank you.
And thank you for telling me because I didn't know that.
Yes,
What I was gonna say though is I before it went down, I got a chance to look at it and I saw the list of all the services that you provide. And so my question is, why provide all these services for others? Why? What made you want to do that?
um, ultimately, all of these services are something that had great value in my personal life. So
Okay.
I'm not one to like hoard resources and wealth. um, if I know something is good and it served me well, I'm gonna pass it along to
Hmm.
someone else. So that's why I offer these offerings because I know it can really make a difference in someone's life.
Okay. I mean, I commend that. That's a beautiful thing. Lots and lots of people are hoarding resources, and I commend you for not doing so.
Thank you.
Um, you're welcome. What effect does sharing these intimate spaces with others do to you physically, mentally? Because I would imagine in these providing these services can be taxing on you as you are going, into these deep levels with people.
Absolutely. They're so taxing. Right now I have a tarot promo where I'm offering tarot readings to my clients, right? Not new ones. My new ones
Hmm.
will have to pay my regular price, but I would just like my work sustains me, right? Like the work
Right.
that I do pays my bills, feeds me, clothes me, helps me take care of my child. So I kind of wanted to give back to my community because honestly, like I'm sustained through my work in my community. So as an appreciation, I did a tarot appreciation where my tarot readings, from phone, email, in person, are half off, like 50% off from anyone who has received any services from me. And it was really important for me to do this just as an appreciation. Like, you know what, like you guys literally keep me alive, in a sense. So I wanted to give back. And what resulted in that is that I became so booked, right? And wow, like the exhaustion that I've been in, I
Right.
definitely took some I definitely took the last 3 days to just not take any readings and take care of myself because, um, tapping into people's energies fields and pulling information and providing like a map and guidance into their lives has been very exhausting. It's my tarot work is a lot like therapy, right? But it's a lot more
Okay.
heightened. Like what I'm able to pull out from the tarot, it's stuff that takes multiple sessions in therapy, right? And I can do it in
Mm.
one session, right? So like
Okay.
like 5 weeks worth of therapy, I can do in one session with tarot.
Wow.
Um, and with a lot of the work that I do, I feel like I I'm able to accelerate the healing process a lot faster, right? Which
Mm.
essentially that's like working in the quantum fields, right? Like I'm working with a past version of yourself, a future version of yourself, and also like a past life version of yourself. Like all of that is incorporated in the work that we do, and I feel like we do healings much faster, and we transcend timelines and stuff like that. So that is fucking exhausting, like and then like this promo was like very successful, and I was just so exhausted. Like I was just like, yo, like I can't do no more readings. Like I'm gonna catch a nosebleed. I'm gonna get sick. I feel my energy being depleted. You know, so with it's the work is very intimate and it's very intensive. Um, and like I said, like years of trauma, in one session, you can get through a lot of it. So
Right.
what was your question again? I do this all the time. Like I
No, no, it's fine. My question was providing these services for others, how does it affect you
oh
mentally, emotionally,
yeah.
physically?
So it does drain me. I think that's why like my pricing, like a lot of my pricings are gonna go up, right? And it's not because I wanna um take advantage of people and take people's money. It's because like the work that I do is so powerful and requires so much rest from me. Like I can't be doing I need time in between sessions, like I'm not a machine,
To reset.
right? I can't just go back to back to back to back to back, like so, it's important that I sustain my practice in a way that I'm not just being tapped out and my energy is leaking everywhere because
Right.
it can happen very easily with this type of work. So
Mm.
self-care is essential. Like I need time to sleep. I need time, in silence. I need time just to be in my own energy, right? And then on top of
Mm-hmm.
that, like sometimes I have to go to someone else for healing work, right? Sometimes I have to go to a
Mm.
masseuse to move energy from my body, or an energy healer or a Reiki healer to just move energies out of my body. I need time to sit with the medicines myself, I need time. I need that time and space. I am, like I said, like when you're doing this work, you can't do it like, like a capitalist, honestly. Like you just can't. You can't just be like, I'm gonna take every client and I'm gonna do 10
Right.
sessions in a day and I'm gonna get this money. It doesn't work like that. Like it's more so
Right.
like I need to make sure that I can sustain myself in between sessions so that I'm healthy and my energy is clear. So I can be I can hold space properly for others.
Got you. Yeah, that's why I asked because I can only imagine how taxing it must be. Like we've all been in situations where a friend calls you and they just tell you their whole everything, and you're like, man, that was just heavy. Like you physically feel like you're down. So I can only imagine how much more intense all the work that you do is, and the other side of that of how much it brings you down physically, mentally, and so that's why I was curious about it.
Yeah, and I'm a hypersensitive person. I am much more hypersensitive, I believe, than the average person. Like my
Mm.
sensitivity levels are off the charts. So I require a lot more time to reset and to rest and to sleep and to just recharge for sure.
That makes sense.
It'll be
That makes
very
sense.
irresponsible of me not to.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it based on what you said, because you'd be operating on empty. How could you do that?
Hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask, do you consider yourself a self-care expert?
um, I don't like to use the word expert, because when you call yourself an expert, people think you know everything.
Mm.
But I am very good at what I do.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Nothing wrong with that. So let me ask you this: what role does spirituality play in self care?
I think it just
Mm-hmm.
makes it so much more beautiful. You know, it creates a,
How so?
I feel like when you're a spiritual person, right? It's the reason why I like
Mm-hmm.
religion. You know, like a lot of people in the spiritual community like totally reject religion, and I embrace, you know, both, you know, religion and spirituality, because religion just has such a beautiful way of like cultivating community and rules, which I like. You know, I'm a rising Capricorn. So I love me some rules and structure, you know, and I believe those rules and structures keep you safe within spirituality, because spirituality embodies everything, the good and the bad,
Okay.
right? Like I remember a while, this isn't a very old meme, probably years old, but there's a meme that, you know, it's like a guy be like, oh, I'm spiritual, and like the
Mm-hmm.
person is like, be more specific, because demons are
Ah.
spiritual too, you know? Like you gotta be more specific by what you
Mm.
mean spiritual. I What I like about spirituality and just incorporating it, it just adds so much more beauty and richness to self care. You know,
Okay.
it's no longer just about the self, but you know, you start connecting with um yes, parts of parts of parts of you from within, but also parts of you outside of self. So you know, and when we tap into spirituality, it makes more room for for rituals, for ceremony, for a lot more possibilities than just
Mm.
looking at yourself.
Okay. I dig that. Um. mm, 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 mm. What do you say to those who don't believe in the spiritual realm or spiritual wellness? The non-believers.
I don't know. I don't really think about those people.
Okay.
You know,
Fair.
honestly, those people are not in my world. They're not
Mm.
existent in my world. You know, I don't think I can say that like I have friends who are atheists, and if they are, like they're more like colleagues. You know what I mean? But they're not like in my close circle.
Inner circle.
You know, like honestly, someone who feels that way will probably not feel any connection towards me.
Okay, I can see that.
You know, so that's not really something that I can say I've encountered. You know, I believe it's still spiritual. Like there's an underlying, like they're connecting with their higher self. You know, like it's still spiritual. You know, but whatever. It's like whatever rocks your boat. I don't care. I'm not here to judge.
Okay, that's really positive. You know, a lot of people have like really negative outlook towards the haters, quote unquote, or the non-believers. So that was a great response. I didn't, that seems like a really positive way of looking at it. Because a lot of people hear that someone is against what they believe in, or they are just like, oh, that's fake, and they're like, oh, it's fake. I will fuck you then. You know what I'm saying? And so you had the total opposite response.
Yeah, I feel like those people have no effect into the work that I do
Okay.
and stuff like that. Like even to the point where like I have a very hard boundary. Like I would not do a tarot reading on a non-believer.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
like if I'm sensing that you're a skeptic and you're just trying to like test me and stuff like that, I wouldn't even waste my
Right.
time. You know, because a lot of things, like with this work, with anything really, like what you believe creates your universe. I
That's right. In Star Wars, they say your focus determines your reality.
But it's the truth. It's like your world is based off your beliefs. You know what I mean? So if you don't believe in
Mhm.
spirituality, if you don't believe in God, that's gonna reflect in your world. Period. So like if someone doesn't believe in readings, nothing is gonna land. Nothing is gonna make sense. They're gonna find like they're gonna find something wrong with everything that I say. You know what I mean? So why waste my
Right.
time and energy? I could be working with someone who believes and wants to heal and wants to genuinely seek answers.
Yeah, I dig that. That's a good way of looking at it. Definitely a good way of looking at it. It's funny how much Star Wars stuff is kind of bleeding into this. But I like it though. And maybe just because I'm a nerd, because a lot of it I'm like, ooh, Star Wars said that. Ooh, Star Wars said that. Ooh, that reminds me of Star Wars. But in fairness, a lot of the Star Wars lore has to do with spirituality and,
Absolutely.
you know, all of that stuff. So it makes sense that it will kind of bleed into this interview. Um, what three things should people be doing to better themselves on a regular basis?
I think we should be moving.
Okay.
Movement.
Across the
Movement.
country? Nah, I'm just kidding.
What would you say?
I said across the country? Nah, I'm just playing.
Listen, as long as your body is moving, I think
Yeah.
that is so key. Like you're going out for walks. Like I think we have become a very sedentary society. We sit a lot
Yep.
and we sit like on a chair for hours. Like I make it a point to get my body movement when I now that I'm like really back on my health journey. Like I go for morning walks now. Like I like that's like I'm
Hmm.
like, you gotta go on this walk. Like you have to move. You have to move for at
Right.
least an hour, even if it's just walking. Like I think movement is essential. I would say
Absolutely.
the second thing is um having connections with other humans or
Okay.
other beings, because who knows? Perhaps we're in a circumstances where we can't connect with other humans, but at least with other beings, with plants, with trees, with animals, like we need some type
Gotcha.
of connection. So movement,
Okay.
connection, and I would say the third, I feel like a practice of some sort, because I feel
Okay. Give me an example.
um like because a lot of these things like wellness, right, is a practice, because you will forget. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
like something,
So like a discipline.
yeah, like something that is intentional, that will get you moving, that will get you started, that will get you flowing. So like it could be like a yoga practice or going to the gym 3 times a week, and it's pretty tied into the first two things that I said. But at least with the discipline part, you are able to maintain it, and then you're holding yourself accountable for it as well. I think
Yeah,
those
that's
three things
important.
are important in wellness.
I agree. Those are great suggestions. Great suggestions. What's something you do for you that simply makes you feel good?
Oh yeah, I get my nails done.
All right. Nothing
Like
wrong with that.
that's like my thing. And I like it because it's not necessarily spiritual or anything like that. It could be considered very worldly or vain, but that's what I do for me, and I don't care if it makes sense to other people.
Oh no, and it shouldn't. That's why I ask for you, because it's for you. It's not for me or
Hmm.
my daughter or the internet. It's for you.
Yeah,
Don't have to make sense to anybody else.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be cool to anybody else.
and I work a lot with my hands, so I kind of like to have my hands looking nice, you know.
I dig that. That makes sense.
And I tell people all the time, like, yo, like, as long as my nails are done, I'm okay, you know. Like life can be pretty shitty, but if I'm still managing to get my nails done, I'm doing all right. Like the moment that
Right.
I don't have my nails done and they're short or they're like all different
Something's wrong.
sizes, check in on me, please.
Right. So next time I speak to you, I'll be like, hey, what's your nails looking like? That's going to be the first question. All right, we're almost done here. So a couple more questions. The next one is, do you believe our love for self is reflective of how we express our love for others?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like when you don't love yourself first, you will put yourself in very difficult situations.
I agree.
You know, because there's like a sense of unworthiness, right? There's a sense of I deserve this hardship or I deserve for someone to be treated this way because I'm ugly or I'm a horrible person. No, like when you love yourself, you are able to be like, you will not treat me that way, you know? So self-love is first, always. Like the way that you love and care for yourself will reflect how you treat others, you know, and how you allow others to treat you.
Yes, I
You know,
totally agree.
like the reason why I decided to do 8, you know, combo points on myself is because I love myself. You know, like I was seeing myself in the mirror and I wasn't
Right.
like happy with the version of myself that was being presented to me. You know, so
Right.
ultimately for the love of my body, of my cells, I was like, I have to do something. You know,
Yeah.
but if you don't love yourself, it's hard for you to do that, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love myself
Well
so
said.
much. I get my nails done, you know? I love myself so much. You know, I try to keep my hair like, you know, it gets wild. I have curly hair, so it gets
I
wild
feel you.
easily.
I don't exactly have the best haircut right now either. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, like
I'm past due.
I love myself so much that I'm like, I want my physical body to reflect the love that I have within. And sometimes it doesn't line up for, you know, many reasons, you know,
Various reasons.
for various reasons. So
Nah,
I'm always,
totally get that. Yeah.
it's like what I said earlier, it's like it's always coming back to balance and harmony, you know?
I agree. I say that a lot too. I say, balance is key. I think we should be striving for balance in all things.
Hmm.
Think that's how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be all the way over here or all the way over there, or I can only listen to trap music, or I can only eat cheese. No, it's like you got to be able to balance things.
Absolutely.
Balance in all things is important. Um, is this the only way you practice self-care?
Like through spirituality?
Yeah.
No, like, you know, like I'm a very isolated person, you know, like I like to
Okay.
spend a lot of time alone, but I also know that can be unhealthy for me. So sometimes, like, I'll be like, okay, I think it's time to seek out humans to connect with some friends and some loved ones, you know. So, um, you know, you know, sometimes my things that are good for me don't look spiritual in a sense.
Okay. Okay. I asked that question because a lot of times when someone is on a specific path, we often think that's the only thing they are and that's the only thing they do. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, this guy's a gym head. All he does is go to the gym. It's like he does other stuff. Like he doesn't just go to the gym 24 hours a day. Like even Dwayne Johnson, who's arguably the most fitness famous guy right now, it's like he's an actor, he's a dad, he's a husband, he does all this other stuff. He's not just a guy who goes to the gym all day. So that's why I asked that.
Yeah, like
Um,
ultimately, like I will say that aside from the spirituality, aside from being a medicine woman, aside from all these titles, ultimately, yo, like I'm, I would say something that transcends all that, is just I love people, and I love not only people too, like I love trees and I love plants and I love animals, like I just love life, so I guess
gotcha.
I'm a lover of life, ultimately.
I dig that. No, that's a beautiful thing. What is self-love?
What is self love?
That's the question.
I don't know. Self love is taking care of yourself, like believing that you are worthy of good things and, that, and knowing that, if at the very least, if no one can give it to you, you can give it to yourself.
Okay. Last question. Is self-love self-care?
Absolutely. Like to care for something, you gotta love it first,
Okay.
you know? It's
Dig that.
pretty simple. Right? Like like I
Hey,
wouldn't care
you
for
took the
this
words right out of my
plant if I
mouth.
didn't love it, you know. And I actually really love this plant. My friend Adele gave it to me, and
Okay.
like when I see her droopy and stuff like that, I have my water right here, and I'm always like,
All right.
making sure that it's nourished and well and it's getting sunlight, and
All
I
right.
talk to her and things like that. So, but I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't care for its life and for its
Got
well-being.
you.
So yeah, like love, self-care without love, I don't know, what is that? Like can it exist? Like
I don't know.
it's I
That's the
think it's
question we're trying to
harm. If
find out.
anything, you're harming yourself, like for example, like if you hate your body, so you go to the gym every day and you work out 7 days a week and you don't rest and you don't nourish yourself because that's you're not doing it out of love. You know what I'm saying? You do it honestly, it sounds like out of hatred. Like you hate yourself and you
Mm.
hate your body, so you're like punishing it. But when you love it, you're gentle and you take your time, and there's more compassion and there's more grace. So I
I
think
like that
self
answer.
care cannot exist without self love.
I like it. All right. That's all I got for today, folks.
We did
Thank you
better this
again.
time.
I
I think last time
appreciate
we
you.
did like an hour and a half.
I know. Last time we were more chatty. This time, this time we were ready,
It's take two.
This
That's
time,
why.
yeah. Take two, No games this time. You were clear and concise this time. So less time wasted. But yeah, I just want to thank you again, not only for doing this interview, but for having the flexibility to re-record and work with our weird, crazy, changing schedules. Um, we're in different parts of the US. We have very different schedules, but you were communicative and flexible, and I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you for your flexibility and stuff like that. So,
No doubt.
you know.
Oh, tell them where they can follow you. I like to end the interview with letting
Yes.
people know where they can follow
So,
you.
since I don't have a website, following me on social media is really key to keep in touch with everything. So, you can follow me on Instagram by following Modern Mystics NYCLA. Right? You can also find me on Facebook by my government name or my birth name, right? Kathie
Okay.
Arseno, which is KATHIE ARSENO. Although I don't post a lot on Facebook, but it is a way for you to find me. You
There you
can
go.
also email me at modernmysticsnyc.com. I mean, at
All right.
gmail.com.
There you go. Oh, okay. All right. Sweet. No TikTok?
You know, I do have TikTok, but I'm not keeping up with it.
I understand.
But I think
It's
my
hard to
TikTok is
juggle all of these
Creatrix
social media
Mama.
platforms.
Creatrix Mama, MAMA. I think that's my TikTok. It's the same as my personal IG handle.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's hard to handle all of these
You know, it's just
various.
like it's hard to like creating content is a lot of work.
Yeah,
As you will know,
yes, it
you know
is.
what I mean? Like, and you know, that's just not my specialty, you know,
Yeah.
like a lot of people have a lot of specialties, and creating content for social media is not necessarily mine. You know, so yeah, like my TikTok is very uneventful.
I understand. No worries. I totally get it.
Yeah. My Instagram is a little bit more
Totally get it.
exciting because like I do like to write, you know, so
Hmm.
you know, Instagram, you know, so, you know, has been a really good platform for me to share my thoughts.
I don't know if you saw, TikTok now kind of copied the story format of Instagram, where you can even take someone's post and now share it on your story.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna all be interconnected and meshed and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's a copycat league. Everybody trying to stay number one. You know, it's like, oh, that's what she's doing. Okay, I gotta try that. Oh, that's what he's doing. All right, we gotta incorporate that. And so it's just,
Yeah.
what's different is the way they present themselves and the way that the content runs on the social network,
Okay.
social media platform. So although the way we are creating, the way they want us posting, the way they want it presenting is almost the same, whether you're on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook like page. Although on the creator side, it's kind of the same way you would post, the consumers see it in a lot of different ways. And so that's kind of what makes each of the platforms different in the way they feed it to people, for lack of a better term.
Yes. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we out of here. We gave y'all an extra little bonus, social media chat too. That's it. That's not what Spread Love is about. And so anyway, thank you again. We are here to highlight and show love and spread love. And so I just wanted to give you one last thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And that's it.
My pleasure. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And thank you, JD, for the opportunity.
Always. Talk to you soon.